"Excuse me, but this clause is a trap," the lonely virgin maid said, and the CEO's smile instantly faded. She deleted the video without sending it. Some things were better kept private until she understood what she'd gotten herself into. Have you ever caught someone in a lie they thought was perfectly hidden? Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. The moment her fingertip touched line 14B of the contract, everything in his eyes changed, from charm to calculation in the blink of an eye. "Is there a problem?" Bradley Cross asked, his voice smooth as the marble countertop between them. Tasha Morgan looked up from the paper, her brown eyes meeting his steel blue gaze. "This clause, it says I waive my right to speak about anything I see or hear in this house, even if it's illegal." The kitchen around them gleamed with wealth. Italian marble countertops reflecting crystal chandeliers, every surface polished to mirror-like perfection. Sunlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating a world Tasha had only seen in magazines. Bradley's smile returned, but it didn't reach his eyes. Standard confidentiality agreement. High-profile clients visit. Privacy matters. So does the law, Tasha replied quietly. For 3 heartbeats, neither spoke. The air conditioning hummed. Outside, a gardener trimmed hedges into perfect squares. "You have legal training?" Bradley finally asked, leaning forward. "My ex was a paralegal. I picked things up." Tasha didn't mention the hours she'd spent in the law library after her mother got sick, researching medical rights because they couldn't afford a lawyer. Bradley nodded slowly, reassessing her. His gaze traced her face, lingered on her lips, then moved down her simple blouse and jeans. Not leering, cataloging, recalculating. "I respect attention to detail," he said, taking back the contract. "Let me revise this. The position is still yours if you want it." 10 minutes later, he returned with a new document. Same salary, same $10,000 signing bonus. "No illegal close." "Why me?" Tasha asked. Dozens of agencies could send someone with more experience. "You notice things?" Bradley said simply. "That's rare." As she signed her name, Tasha felt a whisper of warning up her spine. But $10,000 would pay her mother's medical bills for months. And something about this man's secrets called to the detective in her soul. "Welcome to the Cross residence," Bradley said, handing her a key. "You start tomorrow." That night in her small apartment, Tasha researched Bradley Cross online. Self-made billionaire, real estate empire, divorced, no children mentioned, reputation for brutal business tactics, but generous philanthropy. Articles called him Atlanta's most eligible bachelor, alongside photos of model gorgeous dates at charity functions. None explained the flash of panic she'd seen when she questioned line 14B. "Have you ever caught someone in a lie they thought was perfectly hidden?" Tasha whispered to her phone camera, practicing the video she'd sent her best friend. That moment when their mask slips for just a second. She deleted the video without sending it. Some things were better kept private until she understood what she'd gotten herself into. Tomorrow, she'd step into a billionaire's world. With $10,000 in her account and a growing certainty that Bradley Cross had something to hide. Rich men built glass houses thinking no one could touch them, but they never considered the women who cleaned those windows every day. Tasha learned this truth during her first week working for Bradley Cross. His mansion stretched across 3 acres of Atlanta's most exclusive neighborhood. 6 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, a pool that changed colors at night. Every surface designed to impress. Yet it was the locked doors that caught her attention. The wine cellar, always locked. The 3rd floor study, locked after 8 p.m. The guest house, supposedly empty but lights on at 3 a.m. Privacy, Bradley explained when he caught her looking. "Some spaces are mine alone." He wasn't cruel like other wealthy employers she'd had. He said please and thank you. Left generous tips when she worked late. Asked about her mother's health. Remembered how she took her coffee. But he watched her. Always watched. His home office walls displayed framed magazine covers celebrating his success. But it was the small tear in the corner of one photo, hastily repaired, that caught her trained eye. Someone had been removed from the image. On day 5, Tasha was polishing the hallway mirror when his phone call echoed from the kitchen. "I don't care what it costs," Bradley snapped. "Keep looking." She can't have disappeared completely. Silence. No police. Not again. Handle it quietly. The click of expensive shoes approached. Tasha pretended to focus on a smudge. "Dinner tonight," Bradley said, his tone completely transformed. "I'm having guests. Nothing fancy. Can you help?" "Of course," she answered, not looking up. "The blue tie or the gray?" he asked suddenly. When she glanced up, he stood closer than expected. The scent of his cologne, cedar and something darker, filled her senses. "Blue," she said. "It matches your eyes." His smile warmed. "Good eye." That night, after serving drinks to his business associates, Tasha was gathering glasses when she overheard a whispered conversation. "Did they ever find Eleanor?" a white-haired man asked. "Drop it, James," Bradley replied, voice tight. "Just asking. Terrible situation. Another topic. Now." Later, as rain pounded against the windows, Tasha was shelving books in his library when the wind knocked a leather-bound volume from its place. It fell open, revealing a hollow center, and inside, a woman's torn silk scarf. Deep red. Expensive. The tear wasn't clean, but jagged. Footsteps approached. "No time to replace it. Find something interesting?" Bradley asked from the doorway. Tasha turned, the scarf dangling from her fingers. Would you stay in a beautiful cage if it meant financial freedom? She wondered silently. Or would you run at the first sign of danger? Bradley's eyes fixed on the scarf, his expression unreadable. "I should put this back," Tasha said quietly. "No," he replied, stepping forward. "I think it's time we talked about Eleanor." She knew the difference between a scarf removed in passion and one torn in struggle. This had been the latter. Bradley took the silk from her fingers, his touch lingering against her skin. "Not what you think," he said. Thunder cracked outside the window as lightning illuminated his face in stark white flashes, painting him alternately as savior and monster with each burst of light. "You don't know what I think," Tasha replied, keeping her voice steady. "You think I hurt someone." He curled the scarf around his hand. "That's what everyone thinks." Bradley moved toward the window, his silhouette cutting a sharp line against the storm-dark sky. "Eleanor was my wife." "Was?" "Ex-wife." His jaw tightened. The divorce was complicated. Tasha noticed his careful phrasing. Not "she left" or "we separated." Just complicated. "The scarf?" she prompted. "She left it behind. During our last fight." His fingers traced the jagged tear. "She pulled away when I tried to make her stay. Talk things through." Another lightning flash. Another glimpse of his expression, haunted, angry, something else she couldn't name. "What about the court papers in your desk drawer?" The question slipped out before she could stop it. Bradley turned, eyes narrowing. "You've been through my desk." Not a question. His hand shot out, gripping her wrist, pulling her closer until barely inches separated them. His breath warmed her face, cologne mixing with expensive whiskey. "I dust everything," Tasha said, not pulling away, "including desk drawers." For 3 heartbeats, they stood frozen. His grip firm, but not painful. Her pulse hammering under his fingers. "Restraining order," he finally said, releasing her. She filed it during the divorce. Her lawyer's idea. Standard tactic for a bigger settlement. His explanation made sense. Rich divorces got ugly. Everyone knew that. Why keep it hidden? Why keep her scarf? Bradley moved to the bar cart, poured 2 fingers of amber liquid. Reminders. Of what? That trust is expensive. He offered her the glass. "Drink." Tasha shook her head. "Smart," he said with a half smile. "Never drink with the enemy." "Are you my enemy, Mr. Cross?" The question hung between them as rain lashed the windows. "I hope not, Tasha." He drained his glass. "I hope not." That night, lying in her staff bedroom, Tasha replayed their conversation. His explanation made perfect sense. The scarf belonged to an ex, the court papers from a contentious divorce. So why did he lock his bedroom door? Why did she hear him pacing until dawn? Her phone lit up with a text from her mother. "Everything okay with new job?" Tasha typed back, "Fine. Boss is complicated. She didn't mention how her skin still tingled where he'd gripped her wrist. Didn't mention how part of her had wanted him to pull her closer, not let go. "How good are you at reading people?" she whispered to herself. "The eyes never lie. But what if you're drawn to someone your instincts warn you about?" Outside, the storm raged on. Inside, she researched Eleanor Cross Atlanta, but found nothing beyond society photos from years ago. A beautiful woman with copper hair, always standing slightly apart from Bradley, even in pictures where he held her waist. Tomorrow she would check the wine cellar, if she could find the key. He invited her to the charity gala, not as staff, but as his guest. The perfect move to keep your enemies closer and your secret safer. "The Children's Hospital benefit is tomorrow night," Bradley announced over breakfast, not looking up from his tablet. "My date canceled. You'll come instead." Tasha paused, coffee pot mid-pour. "I'm your housekeeper. You're observant, educated, and presentable." He glanced up. "Unless you have other plans?" She didn't. They both knew it. What would I wear to something like that? Bradley slid a black credit card across the marble counter. "Whatever makes you comfortable. My driver will take you shopping. Consider it a bonus." For hours later, Tasha stood in a boutique dressing room, surrounded by dresses that cost more than 3 months' rent. The saleswoman hovered, eyebrows raised at Bradley's card. "Your boyfriend is very generous," she commented. "Employer," Tasha corrected, selecting a simple navy gown with a modest neckline. Elegant without trying too hard. That evening, Bradley waited at the foot of the grand staircase as Tasha descended. His eyes widened slightly, the first genuine surprise she'd seen from him. "You clean up well," he said, voice rough. "So do you." The classic black tuxedo transformed him from merely handsome to devastating. The gala blazed with wealth and power. Crystal champagne flutes clinked like wind chimes as Atlanta's elites circled each other. Perfume and cologne masking the scent of ambition and old money. Under crystal chandeliers, diamonds flashed like warning signals. "Stay close," Bradley murmured, his hand warm on the small of her back. "These people smell weakness." "Like sharks?" Tasha asked. "Worse. Sharks only bite when they're hungry. These people bite for sport." He introduced her simply as Tasha Morgan, my associate. No explanation offered, none demanded. Money bought privacy, but not immunity from whispers. "Isn't that his maid?" a woman in diamonds muttered. "Upgrading the help?" a man chuckled. Bradley ignored them all, keeping Tasha at his side through dinner, his thumb occasionally brushing her wrist when he sensed her discomfort. "Why am I really here?" she asked during a moment alone. "You notice things," he replied. "Tell me what you see." So she did. The mayor's slight tremor suggesting medication. The museum director's fake smile hiding contempt for donors. The hospital administrator's nervous glances at her phone. Bradley listened, impressed. "You make a good detective. Maybe in another life." The orchestra began a waltz. Bradley stood, extending his hand. "Dance with me." On the floor, his arms circled her waist, hands spread across her back. Professional distance disappeared with each step. His eyes never left hers. "Everyone's watching," she whispered. "Let them," he replied. The music swelled. For 3 minutes, Tasha forgot about torn scarves and locked rooms. Forgot about the $10,000. Forgot everything but the rhythm and his steady lead. Then a woman in a red dress appeared at the edge of the dance floor. Copper hair, pale skin, eyes fixed on Bradley with naked hatred. "You promised you'd never replace her," she hissed, loud enough for nearby couples to turn. Bradley's grip tightened on Tasha's waist. "Security," he called sharply. 2 men in black suits materialized, escorting the woman away. She didn't struggle, just kept her eyes on Bradley. She deserves to know the truth. The music continued, but something had shattered. Bradley's charm vanished, replaced by cold fury. "Time to leave," he said, guiding Tasha toward the exit. "Who was that?" she asked in the car. "No one important." His phone buzzed continuously. He ignored it. "She seemed to know you well." Bradley's jaw tightened. "Drop it, Tasha." That night, passing his bedroom to reach her own, Tasha heard him through the door, talking in his sleep. "Eleanor," he called out. "Eleanor, please." Not anger in his voice. Grief. "Have you ever been the outsider in a room full of wealth and power?" Tasha whispered to her mirror. How did it feel to see that world from the inside? The answer reflected back, terrifying and thrilling in equal measure. Just like the man down the hall. He called out Eleanor in his sleep, but according to every document in the house, no Eleanor had ever existed in Bradley Cross's life. The mystery deepened during Tasha's third week. Rain lashed against the library windows as she scrolled through archived news articles, each tap of her finger bringing her closer to a truth someone had tried to erase. Bradley Cross's official biography mentioned one marriage to Catherine Harlow, society daughter, divorced 5 years ago. No identity, no restraining order, no copper-haired woman at charity events. Yet the name haunted his nights. Eleanor, he would call out, sometimes pleading, sometimes angry. And now, Tasha had another puzzle piece, the woman in red at the gala. The one who'd mentioned replacing her. Was she talking about Eleanor or Catherine? Tasha created a mental evidence board. Torn silk scarf hidden in a book. Court papers in desk drawer. Missing person from repaired photograph. Woman in red at the gala. Name called in nightmares. Locked wine cellar. No police. Not again. The pieces refused to form a clear picture. During daytime, Bradley remained the perfect employer. Professional, respectful, occasionally flirtatious. He asked about her mother's treatments. Remembered details from their conversations. Brought her coffee when she worked late. But his eyes followed her through rooms, especially when she dusted near locked doors. Are you interested in wine? He asked one evening, catching her glance toward the cellar door. I know nothing about it, Tasha admitted. I could teach you. Sometime. His offer hung between them, loaded with unspoken meaning. I'd like that, she replied, matching his tone. That night, thunder rattled the windows as Tasha made her weekly call to her mother. He sounds complicated, her mother said after hearing carefully edited stories about the job. Most people are, Tasha replied. Just be careful, baby. Rich folks' problems have teeth. After the call, Tasha noticed Bradley's office light still burning. Past midnight. Third night this week. She approached quietly, hearing him talking, to himself or on the phone. She couldn't tell. 5 years. 5 damn years and nothing. A glass clinked against wood. She can't have vanished. Tasha stepped back, floorboard creaking beneath her foot. Silence fell. Tasha, Bradley called. Sorry, she said, stepping into view. Saw your light. Wondered if you needed anything. He sat behind his desk, tie loosened, hair mussed from running his hands through it. Vulnerability made him more handsome, not less. Come in, he said. Please. His desk was covered with papers, property records, Tasha realized. Addresses circled in red. Looking for something? She asked. Someone, he corrected, then seemed to catch himself. Old business. Nothing important. His personal Bible sat open on the desk corner. Tasha gestured to it. You're religious? Family tradition. He closed it quickly. Too quickly. As the leather covers came together, something small slipped from between the pages, landing on the carpet between them. Tasha bent to retrieve it. A tiny silver bracelet. Delicate links. A small heart charm. Engraved on the heart. Eleanor Rose Cross, and a date 5 years ago. When she looked up, Bradley stood frozen, face drained of color. What's the strangest thing you've discovered about someone when they thought no one was looking? Tasha whispered to herself later that night, turning the memory over like a coin. A baby bracelet with a name that doesn't exist. A man who calls for someone in his sleep. A woman in red who hates him. Tomorrow she would ask directly. No more circling the truth. But as rain pounded against her window, Tasha wondered which answer frightened her more. That Bradley Cross was a dangerous man hiding dark secrets, or that he was a broken man she was starting to care for despite them. Sometimes the truth isn't buried deep. It's hidden in plain sight, disguised as something you're not supposed to question. Morning came with awkward silence. Bradley at the kitchen island, coffee untouched. Tasha preparing breakfast, the baby bracelet hanging between them like an invisible pendulum. Eleanor Rose, she finally said, cracking eggs into a bowl. Your daughter. The coffee mug stopped halfway to his lips. You don't miss much. It's my job to see details. Is it your job to go through my personal things? The bracelet fell out of your Bible. Tasha turned to face him. You called her name in your sleep. Bradley set down his mug, hands flat on the marble. Yes, my daughter. Not mentioned in any article I could find. I keep my private life private. The woman at the gala, Eleanor's mother, her aunt. His jaw tightened. My former sister-in-law, Meredith. She blames me. For what? Bradley stood, walked to the window overlooking manicured gardens. Catherine and I had Eleanor late in our marriage. Last attempt to save it. His voice dropped. She was perfect. Tiny fingers. Copper hair like her mother. Tasha waited, whisking eggs slowly. When Eleanor was 8 months old, Catherine filed for divorce. Wanted full custody. His shoulders tensed. Said I was controlling. Obsessive. The court granted temporary custody to Catherine while they investigated. He turned, eyes haunted. 3 days later, they disappeared. Both of them, gone. The study fire cast dancing shadows across his face as he continued his story. Each word measured, rehearsed, the performance of a man who had told this story many times before. Police suspected me, searched everywhere, found nothing because there was nothing to find. Bitterness edged his voice. Eventually, the case went cold. Catherine's family still thinks I did something terrible. Did you? The question slipped out. Bradley crossed the room in 3 strides, stopping inches from her. I love my daughter. I've spent 5 years and millions of dollars searching for her. His proximity sent heat through Tasha's body. She could smell his cologne, see the stubble on his jaw, the pain in his eyes. I believe you, she whispered. Something broke in his expression, like ice cracking on a frozen lake. His hand reached up, brushing her cheek. No one has said that to me in 5 years. The air between them charged with electricity. His eyes dropped to her lips. I shouldn't, he murmured. No, she agreed. His lips found hers with desperate hunger, hands trembling as they traced her jawline. For one breathless moment, grief and desire tangled together until she couldn't separate his manipulation from his need. Her back pressed against the counter, his body warm against hers. The kiss deepened, his hand sliding into her hair. Tasha felt herself responding, arms circling his neck. Then reality crashed back. She pulled away, breathless. I work for you, she said. I know. Bradley stepped back, composure returning like a mask sliding into place. That was inappropriate. I apologize. No need. Tasha straightened her shirt. It was mutual. The moment hung between them, neither sure what came next. His phone buzzed on the counter. The screen lit up with a text. DNA results confirmed. What do you want me to do with them? Before she could see more, he snatched it away, mask slipping back into place. I have meetings all day, he said briskly. We'll talk more later. As he left, Tasha touched her lips, still warm from his kiss. Have you ever been drawn to someone you weren't sure you could trust? She whispered to the empty kitchen. That moment when your heart and head are at war. The eggs congealed in the bowl forgotten, just like the questions left unanswered. The loose floorboard in the wine cellar contained 47 photographs of the same woman, alive in some, motionless in others. Bradley left for 3 days on business, giving Tasha unexpected freedom to explore. The wine cellar key, carelessly left in his suit jacket sent for dry cleaning, burned in her pocket. The cellar door opened with a soft click. Motion sensors triggered dim lighting, illuminating rows of expensive bottles. Temperature-controlled air raised goosebumps on her arms. At first glance, nothing seemed suspicious. Just wine racks and storage bins. But Tasha had learned from her ex that men hide things in plain sight, counting on others not to look too closely. She tapped floorboards with her knuckles, listening for hollow sounds. Near the back wall, behind a rack of French reds, she found it. The different tone, the slightly raised edge. Dust motes danced in the beam of her flashlight as she pried up the board. The space beneath held a weatherproof box. Inside, photographs protected in clear sleeves. Catherine Cross stared back from every image. Beautiful, copper-haired, smiling in some, sleeping in others, walking with a baby stroller, entering buildings, through windows, from distances, surveillance photo. The most disturbing showed Catherine sleeping, taken from inside her bedroom. In the last photos, she looked thinner, afraid, always checking over her shoulder. The final image stopped Tasha's breath. Catherine loading suitcases into a car. Date stamp, the day she disappeared. Beneath the photos lay a handwritten note. B. This is everything I could recover from his files. If anything happens to me, you know why. G. Tasha's hands trembled as she replaced everything exactly as she found it. Bradley hadn't taken these photos. Someone else had, someone watching Catherine. Someone who then gave the evidence to Bradley. But why hide it beneath the floor instead of taking it to police? Upstairs, Tasha paced her room, building new theories. The court documents, the restraining order. What if Catherine hadn't filed it as a divorce tactic? What if she'd been genuinely afraid? What if someone else had made her disappear? And Bradley knew who. Her phone buzzed with a text from Bradley, coming home early. Tonight. Important news. Her heart raced, part anticipation, part fear. After their kiss, after what she'd found, everything felt dangerous. She showered, changed, tried to prepare what she'd say. How do you ask someone if they're hiding evidence about a missing person? Evening shadows lengthened across the lawn as his car pulled up. Bradley entered looking exhausted but energized, like a man who'd found something long sought. "We need to talk," he said, loosening his tie. "Wine cellar. I want to show you something." Ice filled Tasha's veins. Did he know she'd found the photos? Had there been cameras? "Now," she asked, keeping her voice steady. "Now." His eyes gleamed with intensity she couldn't read. They descended the cellar stairs together, his hand on the small of her back. Every step increased her dread. At the bottom, he turned to her. "I know you've been curious about this room. It's impressive," she managed. Bradley moved to a wine rack, selected a bottle. Chateau Margaux 2015. To celebrate. "What are we celebrating?" "I found her, Tasha." His voice broke slightly. "I found Eleanor." The wine cellar door slammed shut behind them, key turning in the lock. "Find what you were looking for, Tasha?" Bradley's voice changed, no longer warm. "Under the floorboards, perhaps?" The bottle in his hand suddenly seemed like a weapon. What would you do if you found evidence of a crime committed by someone you were attracted to? Her thoughts raced. Would you run, report it, or confront them? The answer hung in the cool cellar air as Bradley stepped closer, his shadow stretching across the stone floor. She'd escaped one prison to end up in another. Only this time, the man who held the key knew exactly what she'd discovered. "The cameras showed everything," Bradley said quietly. "You finding the key, coming down here yesterday. The floorboard." The cellar's dim lighting cast his face in dramatic shadow, voice echoing against stone walls that had witnessed centuries of secrets. "What was one more? Are you going to hurt me?" Tasha asked, calculating the distance to the stairs. Bradley's eyebrows rose. "Hurt you?" "God, no." He set down the wine bottle. "I wanted to see if you'd tell me the truth. Like you told me the truth? Everything I told you about Eleanor was true. And the surveillance photos? The one showing someone stalking your wife." Bradley sighed, rubbing his face. "That's complicated." "Uncomplicated," Tasha demanded, finding courage in the lack of escape. "Who took those photos?" "Catherine's boyfriend." The answer wasn't what she expected. "Boyfriend, James Wilson, private investigator she hired during our divorce, then started sleeping with." Bitterness edged his words. He was obsessed with her, followed her everywhere, took those photos. "Why do you have them?" "James came to me after they disappeared. Said Catherine had planned to leave, but not with my daughter. She wanted to start fresh alone." Bradley's voice roughened. He thought I'd taken them both as revenge. When I convinced him I hadn't, he gave me his surveillance files. And instead of taking them to police, already looked guilty. Rich husband, missing wife and baby? Classic story. His laugh held no humor. James had a record. His evidence would have made me look worse, not better. Tasha studied him, searching for lies. The text about DNA results? Eleanor's. Hope brightened his eyes. Someone spotted a child matching her description with a woman in Birmingham. I had a team collect DNA from a restaurant glass. And it's her, Tasha, my daughter, alive. The revelation hung between them. If true, it changed everything. So Catherine abandoned her? Tasha asked, trying to fit this new piece into the puzzle. The investigator is still working on that part. The woman with Eleanor isn't Catherine. Bradley stepped closer. I'm bringing my daughter home. Legally, however necessary. The words sent a chill through her. That sounds like kidnapping. It's not kidnapping to take back what's legally mine. His eyes hardened. A father reclaiming his daughter. Tasha saw it then. The obsession beneath his controlled exterior. The dangerous edge to his determination. And if she's happy where she is, she asked softly. She belongs with me. Bradley moved closer, his body blocking the stairs. I need to know if you're with me, Tasha. After everything you've seen, everything you know. The question carried layers of meaning. With him as employer? As conspirator? As something more intimate? I need to think, she said carefully. His hand reached for hers, fingers intertwining. I trust you. Few people have seen me at my worst and stayed. The touch sent electricity up her arm. Despite everything, her body responded to his proximity. Let me out of the cellar, she said quietly. Then we'll talk. Bradley studied her face, then nodded. Fair enough. When he finally unlocked the door, offering freedom rather than force, confusion clouded her judgment. Predators didn't release their prey. Unless this was part of a longer game, she didn't yet understand. Upstairs, Bradley poured them both brandy in the library. Tomorrow I'm going to Birmingham. I want you to come with me. Why? A familiar face might help Eleanor feel safe. A stranger you've hired isn't familiar. You're more than that now, he said softly. The words hung between them, heavy with implication. Have you ever had to pretend to believe someone's lies to protect yourself? Tasha wondered silently. That moment when survival means playing along. She raised her glass. To finding Eleanor, she said, buying time to decide what she truly believed. The woman from the gala appeared at the service entrance with 5 words that changed everything. I know what he did. Dawn broke with Tasha still awake, mind racing between possibilities. Bradley's story about Catherine's boyfriend taking the photos made sense. The angles were intimate, like someone welcome in her space. But the narrative still had holes large enough to hide bodies in. The knock came at 6:18 a.m. 3 sharp raps on the kitchen door while Bradley still slept. Tasha opened it to find the copper-haired woman from the gala, Meredith, standing in the rain, makeup smeared down hollow cheeks. Grief had carved permanent valleys into once beautiful features. You're the new one, Meredith said, eyes narrowed. Let me in before he wakes up. He told me about you, Tasha replied, not moving. Eleanor's aunt. Is that what he called me? Bitterness dripped from every word. Convenient lie. Then who are you? Catherine's sister, Eleanor's aunt, and the only person who knows what really happened 5 years ago. Rain plastered her hair to her face. Let me in, or spend the rest of your life wondering if you're sleeping with a monster. Tasha stepped aside. In the kitchen, Meredith refused coffee, refused to sit. She paced like a caged animal, checking windows. He'll be up soon, Tasha warned. Then I'll be quick. Meredith pulled out her phone, showed a photo of a little girl with copper curls. This is Eleanor. Last week, alive and well. Bradley knows. He found her. Meredith's laugh held no humor. Found her? He's always known where she was. You put her there. What are you talking about? My sister didn't leave with some boyfriend. She left because Bradley was obsessed, controlling every aspect of her life, tracking her movements, recording her calls. Meredith's hands shook. When she tried to leave with Eleanor, he lost it, threatened to take the baby and make Catherine disappear. He hired a private investigator to find them, Tasha offered. James Wilson worked for Bradley, not Catherine. Those surveillance photos? Bradley ordered them taken. To track her, control her. The contradiction spun Tasha's head. 2 versions of the same story, both plausible. Catherine got away. Meredith continued. Changed her name. Started over. But she got sick last year. Cancer. Before she died, she made me promise to watch over Eleanor. She's dead, Tasha whispered. 8 months ago. And now he's found Eleanor. My niece thinks her name is Rose Jenkins. She has no idea who Bradley Cross is. Footsteps sounded overhead. Bradley awake. "I have to go." Meredith pressed a key into Tasha's palm. "Storage Unit 247. See for yourself." Catherine kept evidence, recordings, letters, everything that proves what kind of man he really is. As Bradley's footsteps reached the stairs, thunder cracked overhead. Nature's warning of the storm about to break. "He'll tell you I'm crazy," Meredith whispered. "That I blamed him because I couldn't accept Catherine left." Ask yourself, why would a mother abandon her child? Why would she hide for 5 years if she wasn't terrified? She slipped out the door as Bradley entered the kitchen. "Was someone here?" he asked, frowning. "Just checking the weather," Tasha lied, the key burning in her pocket. "Storm's getting worse." Bradley studied her face. "You look tired. Didn't sleep? Thinking about today. Birmingham." He smiled, relieved. "We leave at noon, if the weather clears." His hand brushed her shoulder. "Thank you for believing in me." The touch made her skin crawl and warm simultaneously. The man who kissed her with trembling vulnerability and the man who might have driven his wife into hiding. Could they be the same person? When caught between two convincing liars, how do you decide who to believe? Tasha wondered silently. The key in her pocket offered one answer. She just needed to reach storage unit 247 before Bradley could stop her. The storage unit contained a child's bedroom, preserved like a museum exhibit, untouched for years except for fresh flowers replaced weekly. Tasha claimed a migraine to delay their Birmingham trip. Bradley, concerned, offered to postpone altogether. "Just need a few hours," she assured him. "Go handle your meetings. I'll be ready when you return." The moment his car disappeared down the driveway, she called a rideshare. The storage facility sat 30 minutes away on Atlanta's outskirts. Ordinary. Show. Perfect for hiding secrets. Unit 247 looked like any other metal roll-up door padlock. The key turned easily. Inside, light filtered through a high window, illuminating what appeared to be a child's bedroom. Pink walls, white furniture, stuffed animals arranged on a perfectly made bed, tiny shoes lined up beneath. Not the scene of violence she expected, but something more haunting, grief frozen in time. Fresh roses sat in a vase on the dresser, replacing what must have been dozens before them. Someone visited regularly. Meredith or Bradley? But this wasn't just a shrine. Filing cabinets lined one wall. Inside, Tasha found meticulously organized evidence. Journals, recordings, photos, medical records. Catherine Cross's handwriting filled notebook after notebook. Tracked my phone again. Questioned why I was at the store for 40 minutes. Found cameras in our bedroom. When confronted, he said it was for security. He started recording my calls with Mom. Played them back, demanding explanations for things I said. USB drives contained audio recordings. Catherine's voice, then Bradley's. "You can't take her from me. She's my daughter too. You'll never see her again if you try to leave." Medical records showed Catherine's therapy sessions. Diagnosis: PTSD from emotional abuse. Police reports documented calls to their home. No charges filed, just notes about a domestic dispute. Most disturbing was a safety plan Catherine had written. "If anything happens to me, B is responsible." Eleanor's new identity documents are with Meredith. Rose Jenkins will be her name. Tasha sank onto the small pink bed, evidence boxes surrounding her. Either Catherine had manufactured elaborate documentation of abuse that never happened, or Bradley had lied about everything. The pink room told its own story. Not violence, but control, preservation, obsession. Her phone buzzed with Bradley's text. Meetings finished early. Heading home, ready to leave for Birmingham. Tasha stared at the perfectly preserved shrine, then at the evidence in her hands. The woman in red had told the truth. But so had Bradley, in his way. He loved his daughter, desperately, destructively. When she returned to the mansion, Bradley waited in the foyer, overnight bag packed. "Feeling better?" he asked, genuine concern in his eyes. "Much," she lied. In his car, heading north to Birmingham, Tasha watched his profile. Strong jaw, perfect hair, hands steady on the steering wheel. The image of success and control. "Tell me more about Eleanor," she said. "What was she like as a baby?" His face softened. "Perfect," She had these tiny hands that would wrap around my finger. Wouldn't sleep unless I walked her around the nursery. Love filled his voice, real, undeniable love. You miss her. Every day, he admitted. I keep her room exactly as it was. Sometimes I just sit there, imagining what she'd be like now. The storage unit shrine made horrifying sense now. His tears seemed genuine as he continued. They took her from me, said I wasn't fit to be a father. But as Tasha held his hand in sympathy, her gaze caught on the open laptop screen on the console between them. A real-time GPS tracker showing a location labeled ER. Not Eleanor Rose. Eleanor's aunt, Meredith. Bradley wasn't just tracking his daughter. He was tracking everyone connected to her. What would you make of someone who preserved a child's room for years? Tasha wondered silently. Sign of guilt, grief, or something else entirely? The highway stretched before them toward Birmingham, toward a confrontation with a past Bradley had described very differently than the evidence suggested, toward a child who might need protection from the very man claiming to save her. A living child has a heartbeat, and somewhere in Atlanta, Eleanor Rosecross's heart was still beating. The Birmingham hotel suite Bradley booked had 2 bedrooms. For propriety, he explained, though his eyes suggested different intentions. They'd barely spoken during the 3-hour drive, Tasha's mind spinning with contradicting stories. Tomorrow we'll find her, Bradley said, pouring whiskey at the minibar. My investigator confirmed she attends Oakwood Elementary. 5th grade, top of her class. What's your plan? Tasha asked, accepting the glass, but not drinking. Introduce myself. Explain everything. Bring her home. To a stranger who claims to be her father? She'll be terrified. Bradley's jaw tightened. I am her father. She doesn't know that. She thinks she's Rose Jenkins. Names can change. Blood can't. He drained his glass. Catherine poisoned her against me. I'll fix that. And if she doesn't want to go with you? His eyes darkened. She's my daughter. The possessiveness in his voice chilled Tasha to her core. The GPS coordinates on his laptop pulsed red against the black screen. A digital heartbeat leading to a child who officially didn't exist. After dinner, Bradley received a phone call. Business emergency. He stepped onto the balcony, leaving his laptop open. Tasha moved quickly, finding the file labeled Eleanor Recovery Plan. Inside, school schedules, teacher names, security protocols. A section titled Extraction Options detailed plans ranging from legal custody claims to immediate removal if necessary. Not rescue. Kidnapping. The final page contained a Birmingham address. Not the school, a residence. With a note. Subject spends weekends here with maternal aunt. Meredith's home, where Eleanor would be tonight, not tomorrow. Bradley returned, finding Tasha sitting exactly where he'd left her. Sorry about that. Where were we? Discussing tomorrow, she said carefully. He sat beside her on the sofa, closer than necessary. I've waited 5 years. One more night feels impossible. His hand found hers, fingers intertwining. The touch that once sent electricity through her now felt dangerous. You've been quiet, he noted. Second thoughts? Just processing everything. Bradley lifted her chin with gentle fingers. I couldn't have found her without you. Your belief in me when everyone else assumed the worst. Before she could respond, his lips found hers. Unlike their first kiss, desperate, hungry, this one held control. Possession. His hands moved with practiced confidence, drawing her closer. Tasha knew she should pull away. The evidence in storage unit 247 painted him as dangerous. Yet part of her still responded to his touch, to the vulnerability she'd glimpsed beneath his perfect exterior. Each kiss felt like confession, her back against the wall as his hands mapped her body with desperate precision. You see me, he breathed against her neck. No one has ever seen me. Her mind raced, even as her body surrendered. Could she use this? Keep him distracted tonight, while warning Meredith? As they moved to his bedroom, Tasha made her choice. One night of pretend passion. One chance to save a child from being caught in an obsession spanning years. Later, as Bradley slept beside her, Tasha slipped from the bed. His phone required facial recognition, but his car keys lay unguarded on the nightstand. She dressed silently, copied the address from the laptop, and took his keys. Outside, rain fell in sheets, matching the tears on her face. Not for Bradley, for the man she thought he was. For the broken heart beneath his controlling nature that she couldn't fix. The GPS in his luxury car activated automatically. She entered Meredith's address, hoping she wasn't too late. "What lines would you cross for a child?" Tasha whispered as streetlights blurred through rain-streaked windows. "For justice? For love? Where do your moral boundaries lie?" Tonight, she would discover her own answer. The address led not to a prison, but a modest home, where a healthy 5-year-old girl with Bradley's eyes played under the watchful gaze of the woman in red. Dawn broke as Tasha parked down the street from Meredith's small bungalow. Lights already glowed inside despite the early hour. A child's bicycle leaned against the porch, pink streamers on the handlebars. Should she approach? Call police? What crime could she report? A father looking for his daughter wasn't illegal, even if his methods crossed lines. Decision made, Tasha walked to the front door and knocked. Meredith answered, eyes widening in recognition. "He's here? In Birmingham?" "Yes. He plans to take her tomorrow. From school." "Come in." Quickly. Inside, cereal bowls sat on a kitchen table. Cartoon voices drifted from another room. "Rose is watching Saturday morning shows," Meredith explained, voice low. "She can't hear you. Bradley has your address. GPS tracking. He knows she's here weekends." Fear flashed across Meredith's face. "We need to leave. He'll follow. He's tracked you for years. What does he want from you?" To help convince Eleanor, Rose, to trust him, Meredith studied her. "And you agreed? I needed to warn you." Tasha hesitated. "I found the storage unit. Saw Catherine's evidence. Then you know what he's capable of. Obsession. Control. But not violence." "That you've seen," Meredith countered. Catherine's accident happened after she refused to tell him where Eleanor was. The accusation hung in the air. Murder. The ultimate control. "And Mary? Who's at the door?" A small voice interrupted as a girl appeared in the doorway. "Copper curls." Bradley's eyes. Eleanor Rose Cross, now Rose Jenkins, stood in fuzzy slippers and unicorn pajamas. Sunlight dappled through oak leaves onto the front yard, illuminating the child's copper curls. The same shade as the woman who claimed to be her aunt, but was clearly her mother. "This is Ms. Morgan," Meredith said smoothly. "My friend." Rose studied Tasha with intelligent eyes. "You work for my daddy," she said with certainty. "He shows me pictures of you cleaning our house." The words sent ice through Tasha's veins. "What do you mean?" "In my dreams. Daddy shows me pictures of his big house and says I'll live there someday." Rose tilted her head. "Are you his girlfriend now?" Meredith knelt before the child. "Rose, honey, remember what we discussed about dreams and reality?" "Dreams aren't always real," Rose recited, "but they can feel real." "That's right. Why don't you finish your show while I talk to Ms. Morgan?" Once Rose returned to the living room, Meredith's composure cracked. "He's in her head somehow. These dreams started months ago. He's never contacted her. Never. Catherine made sure of that. Changed their names. Moved constantly." Meredith's hands trembled. "After Catherine died, we settled here. I thought we were finally safe." Tasha's phone vibrated in her pocket. "Bradley. 7 missed calls." A text appeared. "Where are you? Worried about you." Then another. "Found my car missing. Are you at Meredith's? Don't believe her lies." And finally, "I'm coming for my daughter. Don't stand in my way." Tasha showed Meredith the messages. "We need to go. Now. I have a cabin. Blue Ridge Mountains. Off the grid. Pack quickly. I'll drive you." As Meredith rushed to gather essentials, Tasha knelt beside Rose. "Your aunt and I are taking you on a surprise trip. An adventure." Rose looked up from her cartoon. "Because of Daddy?" The question chilled Tasha's blood. "What do you know about your daddy?" "He's looking for me. In my dreams, he says he'll find me soon." Rose's innocent eyes held no fear. "Is he coming today? Have you ever discovered someone you cared for wasn't a monster? Just broken in ways you never imagined?" Tasha wondered silently, looking at this child caught between powerful forces. She took Rose's small hand. "Yes, he's coming. That's why we need to leave." She returned to find him waiting, gun in one hand, custody papers in the other, and nothing left to lose. Meredith and Rose were safely hidden at the mountain cabin. Tasha had promised to retrieve essential medication from the Birmingham house, then join them. A simple 10-minute stop. Bradley's car in the driveway shattered that plan. The front door stood open. Inside, destruction greeted her. Furniture overturned, photos smashed. Hurricane Bradley had swept through, searching for clues to his daughter's whereabouts. In the kitchen, he sat at the table, gun beside his hand, eyes red-rimmed, disheveled in a way she'd never seen. "Where is she?" he asked quietly. "Not here," Tasha replied, calculating escape routes. Obviously, his laugh held no humor. 5 years of searching. "I finally find her, and you help them disappear again." "I saw the storage unit, Bradley. Catherine's evidence. Fabrications. Her sister helped create that fictional abuse narrative. The recordings? The police reports? Context matters." Bradley stood, pacing the kitchen like a caged animal. Catherine wanted full custody, needed me to look unstable. Lightning illuminated the kitchen in camera flash bursts, capturing snapshots of a man coming undone, control slipping through his fingers like water. "She turned my daughter against me," he continued. "Made me a monster in Eleanor's mind." "Rose doesn't know you at all," Tasha countered. "She has dreams you're somehow feeding her." Bradley's pacing stopped. "The dreams are working? She sees me." The question confirmed Tasha's worst fears. "What did you do?" "Experimental treatment. Dream-sharing technology my company invested in." His eyes gleamed with dangerous pride. "I've been visiting her subconscious for months, preparing her to accept me. You invaded a child's mind without consent. I'm her father. I don't need consent to love my daughter." The gun slid closer to his hand as his voice rose. Tasha maintained her distance, kept her voice calm. "Bradley, this isn't love. It's control. You don't understand what it's like having your child stolen. Watching other men raise her." "Men?" Catherine never remarried. His expression shifted. "James, her boyfriend. He helped her hide Eleanor. James Wilson died 3 years ago. Car accident. Catherine told you that. Police reports told me that." I looked him up. Confusion crossed Bradley's face. "No, he's with them. He has to be." The pieces clicked into place. Bradley's reality had warped under the weight of obsession. In his mind, everyone conspired against him. "Elite." "Bradley," Tasha said softly. "When was the last time you slept?" "Really slept. Sleep wastes time. I have 5 years to make up for." She risked a step closer. "You need help. I need my daughter." His fist slammed the table, making the gun jump. Tasha changed tactics. "The dream connection. You said she sees you." His eyes softened. "Yes. She knows my face, my voice. What else does she see? Our house, her room. I've kept it exactly as it was." Pride replaced anger. "I show her where she'll live. Who'll be there, including me?" Tasha asked, remembering Rose's comment. Bradley nodded. "You're part of our future. The 3 of us together." The delusion stunned her. In his mind, they were already a family. His hand reached for hers across the table. "Help me find her, Tasha. We can give her everything." For a moment, Tasha glimpsed the broken man beneath the monster, desperate for connection, for family, for love. The man she'd almost fallen for. "She deserves a choice," Tasha whispered. "Not mind control, not kidnapping. She's a child. She doesn't know what's best. And you do." "Yes." He reached for the gun. "Now tell me where they went." Tasha's phone buzzed in her pocket. Bradley's eyes narrowed. "Answer it." On speaker. It was Meredith. "Tasha, Rose's medication isn't here. We checked everything." Before Tasha could respond, Bradley grabbed the phone. "Meredith, put my daughter on." Silence then. "Bradley, how did you?" "Put Eleanor on the phone. Now." "Her name is Rose, and no. I know about the cabin," he bluffed. "Blue Ridge Mountains. I'll find you." The line went dead. Bradley's eyes cleared from madness to cold determination. "Thank you for confirming they're in the mountains. Narrows my search considerably." When police lights flashed through the windows minutes later, his expression shifted to resignation. You called them. Before I came back, she admitted. I had to choose Rose's safety over your freedom. As officers entered with weapons drawn, Bradley made no resistance. His eyes never left Tasha's face. You'll tell her about me? The truth. When she's older, Tasha promised. The whole truth. As they led him away, Tasha wondered which truth she meant. The obsessed father who broke laws to find his daughter, or the broken man who couldn't separate love from possession. Maybe someday, Rose will be ready for both. The witness stand felt colder than she expected, almost as cold as Bradley's eyes watching her from the defendant's table. 6 months had passed since that night in Birmingham. Bradley faced multiple charges: breaking and entering, illegal surveillance, unauthorized use of experimental technology on a minor, stalking, and violating restraining orders. Not murder. Despite Meredith's suspicions, no evidence linked him to Catherine's death, ruled accidental after thorough investigation. The courtroom hushed as Tasha described the shrine-like storage unit, each word echoing against polished wood and stone. Wealth couldn't insulate this room from ugly truths. Ms. Morgan, the prosecutor asked, did the defendant ever threaten you directly? No, tasan serdanistri. He never threatened physical harm. Yet you feared for the child's safety? I feared his obsession, his determination to possess her regardless of her wishes or well-being. Bradley's attorney objected. Speculation about my client's intentions. Sustained, the judge ruled. On cross-examination, Bradley's lawyer painted him as a grieving father, desperate to reconnect with his stolen daughter. A man who'd exhausted legal options, who'd been falsely accused by an ex-wife with mental health issues. Ms. Morgan, the lawyer asked, isn't it true you and Mr. Cross were romantically involved? Tasha felt heat rise in her cheeks. Briefly, yes. And you ended that relationship when you chose to help hide his daughter? I ended it when I discovered he'd been lying about his past. Or when you decided a wealthy businessman made a convenient target for extortion. Objections flew. The judge warned Bradley's attorney. Throughout testimony, Bradley's gaze never wavered from Tasha's face. Not angry, not hateful, studying her like a puzzle he couldn't solve. During a recess, Tasha sat alone in a witness room, hands shaking slightly. The door opened, Bradley's attorney with a settlement offer. My client will plead to reduce charges. No jail time. Supervised visitation with his daughter. In exchange, Meredith Jenkins maintains primary custody. Why offer this now? The dream technology testimony damaged our case. Jurors didn't respond well. The lawyer hesitated. And Mr. Cross doesn't want his daughter to endure a lengthy trial. The first genuinely paternal instinct Bradley had shown. When court resumed, the agreement was announced. Bradley would receive psychiatric treatment. Supervised visitation would begin only after Rose's therapist deemed her ready. As security led him away, he passed her one folded note. Visit me, please. 2 simple words that shouldn't have made her heart race after everything she knew, everything she'd seen. Outside the courthouse, reporters shouted questions. Tasha pushed through them to where Meredith waited. Is it over? Meredith asked. The legal part, Tasha answered. The healing takes longer. That night, in her new apartment, Tasha watched rain against the windows. Bradley's note lay on her coffee table, unopened. Her phone lit up with a text from Meredith. Rose asked about him today. About her father. What do I tell her? Could you testify against someone you had feelings for? Tasha whispered to her reflection. Would you choose justice over connection? The rain had no answers, but somewhere in her heart, Tasha knew she would eventually open that note, eventually visit him, not for herself, but for Rose, who deserved to know the complicated truth about the man who loved her too much. She visited him exactly once. Not for closure, not for answers, but to tell him what she'd done with the $10,000 he'd paid her. The psychiatric facility overlooked manicure gardens where patients walked paths under supervision. Bradley had traded his designer suits for simple clothes. His hair longer now, his eyes clearer. The visiting room buzzed with muted conversations, families separated by invisible lines and visible guards. Privilege stripped away until only humanity remained. "You came," he said, genuine surprise warming his voice. "Almost didn't," Tasha admitted. "How is she?" "Adjusting. Asking questions. Smart girl." Pride flickered across his face. Like her mother. The acknowledgement of Catherine, without bitterness, suggested the treatment was working. "The doctors say my obsessive tendencies began after Eleanor was born," Bradley explained. "Postpartum depression affects fathers too, apparently. Mine manifested as control. And Catherine reacted normally to abnormal behavior." His hands folded neatly on the table. "I still don't remember everything clearly. My mind created narratives to justify actions I couldn't face. The dream technology? Experimental. Dangerous. I convinced myself it was connection, not invasion." Shame crossed his features. "I wanted her to know me before meeting me." Tasha nodded, unsure what comfort to offer, or if any was deserved. "You didn't come for my progress report," Bradley noted. "No." Tasha placed a folder on the table. "I came about the money. Your signing bonus. Keep it. You earned it. I didn't want it. Not after everything." She opened the folder, revealing documents. "I established a trust fund for Rose. Education, healthcare, future security." Bradley studied the papers, fingers trembling slightly. "You used my money to secure her future. Money doesn't fix what happened, but it can help what comes next." Their fingers brushed across the table. A touch containing memories of passion, but now transformed into something more complex. "In another life," he murmured, and she nodded, acknowledging the truth of what might have been if darkness hadn't lived in both their hearts. "Will you tell her about me?" Bradley asked. "The real me, when she's ready." Tasha stood to leave. "She has your eyes, you know, and your intelligence. But Catherine's heart, I hope." "Yes, definitely that." Outside, spring sunshine warmed Tasha's face as she walked to her car. Her phone rang, a job offer from a women's advocacy center, director of their new program for domestic workers' rights, using her experience to help others trapped in powerful households. Life continued. Rose thrived with Meredith, occasionally asking about her father. Bradley progressed through treatment, sending birthday cards that Meredith carefully screened. And Tasha? She built something meaningful from the broken pieces of truth she discovered in a billionaire's mansion. Not the fairy tale ending where the maid marries the prince, but something more valuable, purpose born from pain. "What would you do with the money from someone who betrayed you?" she asked her audience at speaking engagements. "Would you keep it, return it, or transform it into something meaningful?" The answer wasn't simple. Like people, truth came in layers, some beautiful, some ugly, all necessary to understand the whole. If this story of secrets, power, and redemption resonated with you, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories about women who refuse to be silenced or bought. Comment below if you think Tasha made the right choices or what you would have done differently. And remember, sometimes the most dangerous thing in a house isn't what's hidden in the shadows, but what's hiding in plain sight.